So let's move into the administrative reports, and we'll start with student council.
All right, so we just wanted to share with the board that we just got done with our variety show. We had it last week, right? Or last week, and it was a success. The students really enjoy just getting to watch their fellow students and their talents that they get to perform. So I feel like they really enjoy that whole experience, and we just wanted to report that it went well.
Great. Did you raise money for it? Did it raise money?
No. There was no recognition for anything during the fourth block.
Okay.
And about a week or two ago, we elected one student for the Jennifer Murphy Scholarship, and I think the award is $500 for someone that's going to pursue something related in the arts, and that student will be awarded on Senior Awards Night, which is June 16th. So they'll be notified to attend. Also Thursday, we're having our student council elections, where current members will give a prepared speech among the group to try and be elected for a position next year. And positions are going to be student council president, vice president, secretary, press secretary, 2 to 3 school board representatives, and treasurer.
Okay.
Thank you for letting us come to all the meetings, and we enjoyed being sort of part of the board and observing how emotions and department work.
Great.
It's an experience. It's good to have.
Dynamic environment.
Yes.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for coming. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, we hope that there continues to be good student participation. All right, Ingrid.
Will you want us to present candidates through our reports or after our reports?
I think let's handle it under new business.
Okay. The board may have received the newsletter by now. It might have hit your mailboxes on Saturday,
Yep.
but it's coming. If it didn't, there are a lot of inserts this time. I will point out that Move Up, identified on the front for grade 8, is Wednesday evening, June 15th at 6 p.m. There's information there for incoming. We've been sending our newsletter to the incoming 7th graders since March, those families. So they got March, April, and now the May, June newsletter.
Do you have an indication of what the enrollment's going to be?
It's projected at 148, grade 7, incoming grade 7.
So that's consistent. It's slightly lower. It was 155, was it?
Our outgoing class is 155. Very good, David.
Yeah. Okay.
So I guess really the BAMS committee addressed lots of business this morning, so I'll wait then for recommendation of candidates.
Okay. Steve.
We are getting ready for the end of one year and the beginning of the next. We've had visits from our 8th graders from BAMS last week, and tomorrow we're going to host our other school visitors. And the 8th graders come in, they see a musical program. Guilford, Putney, Vernon, not Vernon, I'm sorry, Dummerston, and Hilltop, and other private schools that send students here.
Any students come down from Marlboro?
We get a few from Marlboro. We get a few from Halifax every year. So they'll come down. They see a musical program. They get introduced to myself, and they would get introduced to the assistant principals, but that won't happen this year. They also get introduced to counseling, and they get a taste of the school. They get a tour. It takes about 2 hours. On the other end, we are getting ready to graduate the class of, what is it again? 2011. And I have a couple of quick statistics about them. There's 183 students right now that we plan to see graduate, barring community service and final exams. They've submitted a total of 537 applications to college. It's an average of about 3 applications per student. Right now, it looks as though approximately 18% of our students are going to be going on to 2-year colleges, about 52% to 4-year, 3% to the military, and then others to various apprenticeships, non-United States schools, undecided plans, and unknown plans. So
it's a very high percentage.
it is. The colleges that they're accepted to run the gamut. Local colleges, some students going to Keene State, some going to CCV, others going to Beloit, Yale, the wide range of schools.
Yeah.
So we're pretty proud of the class of 2011 and what they've done. We've also had a couple of art shows. Last week, the art department gave their Fine and Practical Arts Award show, which was it was a spectacle, and I wish we could have taped it and brought it to you. Not only was it just art, it was also cooking demonstrations, sewing demonstrations. They moved the pottery wheel in. They took about 2 hours and just showed everybody everything that the Fine and Practical Arts is doing. It was an amazing presentation. Along with giving senior awards, we've also purchased 3 works of art for permanent display, one of them by Rosetta Lane and 2 others by Hannah Early. And that's part of our ever-growing art gallery that we have displayed around the school. And so it was nice to see that addition to the collection. And the rest I can wait.
Okay, Mr. Coughlin.
Fairly short. Wednesday night at 7 o'clock at the UHS Auditorium is the WRCC Senior Recognition Ceremony. And then I also have, under new business, I have a candidate to present for assistant director.
What was the date again on that?
It'd be Wednesday night at 7 o'clock.
Wednesday the 15th, is it?
No, this Wednesday.
Coming right up.
The 8th.
Okay.
I'll be there.
Great, okay. Board chair does not have anything to report at this time, so I'll turn over to Superintendent Fields.
If you would take one and pass it along. So we're ready to institute the revised start time for next year. And I wanted just to inform the board of this. We've worked with all the principals. I think the concerns that had continued at Guilford will be addressed with this draft. This sheet just gives you a little background about the rationale, but most importantly, the column on the right-hand side gives you the revised times. One of the concerns with Guilford was that because of the wide range of routes, that their elementary would have to start considerably earlier than the others. But as you can see, the bold print at the bottom, the high school bus pickup times will change from the earlier times of 6:40, a range of 6:40 a.m. to 6:50 a.m. to 7:50 to 8 o'clock. So that's a considerable change. The elementary and K-8 school bus pickups will change from what's currently about 7:45 to 7:20 and 7:35. One of the things that we did with Guilford, I know, Sean, you had an earlier version that the bus drivers thought they'd have to do the elementary pickups at 7 o'clock or even earlier. So they've refined that to get to about 7:15. And the other thing that we've been able to do is use a first student bus that is a Brattleboro bus to go into Guilford to pick up some of the Guilford students around the Heinsberg Road area, and that takes some pressure off their other runs. So I think that's a nice coordinated effort between First Student and Guilford so they're not kind of out of line in terms of their start times. Just for your information, we've had a committee working on this of 10 people, 3 parents, 4 staff members, 3 administrators, an association representative. Since January, they've been meeting on a regular basis, although this issue has come up for years, and most recently the past year. I think the things that we were able to confirm, besides the Guilford situation, the bus route time studies, and one of the concerns about after-school programming or after-school supervision for students. As we've looked at all of the options, it's pretty interesting that the elementary schools, most of the schools already have an after-school enrichment and remediation program, or in the case of Vernon, they have the rec department that is available for people. Guilford is instituting a new after-school program with the help of Mike Mawicki from Putney Family Services, so that's a great option. Brattleboro Town has had those enrichment programs, and as you can see, Brattleboro Town, the difference is about 15 minutes in terms of the end time. So we feel that students will be, able to be part of those programs for supervision if it's needed. One other thing we're doing is inviting, opening up for parents a forum. It's probably going to be scheduled for the week of June 21st to talk about after-school programming through Wyndham Child Care, through the Aspire program, and through some of those after-school programs that I just mentioned. So we'd like to try this for a year, see how it goes, and hopefully it'll go smoothly without too many glitches. And
There's no motion needed from the board for this. That's
correct.
No policy change.
Let's make everybody happy.
Yeah, I'm kind of just informing
It's
the board.
information.
That's-
Right.
If you have questions, I could certainly take those.
Just one, Ron, on the, I know it was, the sports issue has come up, and
Yeah.
I think it was pretty well resolved that practices and competition will still work out fairly well. That's all been vetted.
Yeah.
All the
Yeah,
concerns
it'll
are-
mean adjusting the start times a little bit and also compressing some of the practice time. But the athletic director felt that was doable. We did a comparison of release times now compared to what it might be next year, and it's pretty similar. Although one sport, JV and varsity field hockey, because they do back-to-back games, that will probably be impacted a little bit in terms of more release time. But everything else looked pretty good. And I think, as I've said, I'm not sure if it's with this group, but I think what it's really going to do is start having us think about a little bit different schedule in that the end of the day. So it's almost like BAMS has an X block, if you will, but it may encourage the high school to start thinking about some sort of an activity block at the end of the day that would involve enrichment, remediation, and ways to adjust the sports schedule as well. So that wasn't intentional to this, but as it's happening with the elementary schools, it's really causing schools to extend their day in a really nice way, I think, to get more learning involved. And yet, if kids don't have to stay, they don't have to. But I think the benefit of enrichment and remediation is there for them.
Okay.
And then I do have a couple things under new business, and I do have an executive session that I need the board to.
Okay.
Here.
Just to remind board members, we're all invited to the graduations. So you've got BAM's graduation on the night of the 15th. And you then have the senior scholarship night on the 16th. And that's here in auditorium. And then you have the BUHS graduation on the night of the 17th. And there's actually seating, I believe, for the board members.
There is.
Right. So those are down at the bottom of the bleachers. So you're all encouraged to come and participate.
It's fine if it's outdoors, if it's indoors.
Yeah, right. Right. We have tent, or we're gonna do it indoors? No tent. Got it.
That was
I got
the default.
it. It wasn't the box. I got it. Maddie.
Does anyone know, maybe Mr. Perrin, when seniors will be notified if they should attend the awards night?
They're
Because
hoping to get that out tomorrow.
really,
Yes.
So all the scholarships and everything have been set? They're all, everything's set?
Right. They're compiling the final list and checking a few things.
Great. Great. I look forward to graduation. It's actually one of the most fun nights of this job.
More fun than board meetings?
A little bit.
We tell jokes.
A little bit, right? We tell jokes up at the podium. We have to make sure the mic is off. Okay, so let's get into the policies. Ian, I'll turn it over to you, your policies. And we can just whip through these if we can, and we'll get into new business, and then we're gonna have then we'll have the executive session. Then we'll have the candidates for hire, and then we'll have the executive session. Okay, yeah.
Okay, well, for the most part, all of the policies we felt could be put through as written. The first policy listed, C5, is actually the only one we had an issue with. We wanted to change one line in this policy. Relations with other school staff. If you have the policy in front of you.
That's C8?
C8.
Yep.
C8?
Yeah.
Relations with other school staff, Part 1. Individual board members will communicate with staff members on matters of school business only at the direction of the board as a whole. We simply wanted to amend this, keeping its intent, we feel, but making it specific to that intent. Individual board members, in their role as a member of the board, will communicate with staff members on matter of school business only at the direction of the board as a whole.
Okay. So this is the second reading. You've made the change. So and we'll put it up for adoption now at the next meeting.
Yes.
Okay, with the recommendation. Okay. Good.
All other policies we're prepared to pass to the next step as written.
Perfect. So are there any questions with regard to F16, head lice, G4, selection of library materials, G5, selection of instructional materials, or G6, complaints about instructional materials?
Just information about F6, the head lice policy. That had been reviewed by the school nurses, so just to confirm that from the question from last meeting.
And they're on side with it?
Oh, yeah.
As written?
Yeah.
My computer just these meetings just go longer than my battery. But remember last time weren't there a couple of fill in the blanks of dates or people?
I'm assuming your committee has done that.
Right.
Did you? But I'm not on that committee.
Oh,
No,
well,
no.
maybe you should get on it.
Yeah. And exercise your computer more.
I didn't see anything in this first batch. Under G6, there was a reference to a packet under complaints about instructional materials. That would be developed by the school. It's, it cites it in policy, but the packet would be something that each school would develop.
And the committee felt that our role was simply to point out that that was missing and did so.
Yeah.
And then there's a reference under procedures upon receipt of a completed objection form. Again, that would be a form that the administration would provide as part of the documentation.
I think we did a lot of work last go around on the selection of library materials. I think there was a lot of discussion on that, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Particularly what qualifies and what should come through library. Okay. You all set, Ian?
I'm all set.
Great. So those will be final reading, and then why don't we handle under new business the first readings of all of those documents? If you just refer to them and see if there's any questions from the board, and then we'll put them up for additional reading.
All right. We again, we read through all of those, saw no need for changes on any of them.
Do any board members have any questions or comments with regard to those policies in the first reading? If everybody can make sure that we at least get them a reading before the second one, so that if there are changes that we have it before we adopt it.
Were there any substantive changes from the prior policy in any case that I certainly haven't compared them.
Sure,
I haven't
Both
compared
late
them
ones.
to the old either. I was, these are fairly standard.
Go ahead. Sorry.
The policy D7 added language regarding screening volunteers, which we felt was a substantive change and a very appropriate one.
Yeah.
Right,
And that's part of the statute that was changed.
right, reflecting
That reflects,
state
that's
law.
reflected in the policy.
Yeah, so you've got the line in there that work study students are appropriate screening prior to entering into service in the school district. Good. Okay. So there being no questions there,
Those are coming back from you.
yes, they'll come back. There's three
Second
readings.
reading.
So we've now completed the first reading, and then there'll be an additional reading for the next agenda. Right, so student trips have already occurred. Journeys East program's on here.
I have
Application
this-
approval?
Yes. So you had approved, I believe you had approved 2 Journey East tuitions.
Which is the max?
We will want to confirm the maximum is 3.
3.
And this, I believe, is the 3rd request. And so I'll pass this on. We would support this as the 3rd tuition for the Leland and Gray Journey East program.
So this will be a student going from our school to Leland and Gray to participate in this. And this is in the budget?
Yeah.
Okay, because we budgeted for 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so if someone, Ruth, if you want to get in, well, you haven't seen it either, but we'll need a motion, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would move that we approve the 3rd student tuition for the Journey East program.
Okay,
I'll second that.
moved and seconded. Wait till it passes around so everybody sees it in case there's any discussion. So this is standard, Marion and Ian and Russ, this is in the policy that, or in the budget that we approved up to 3 students that are eligible to go from the high school to Leland and Gray so that they can participate in the Journeys East program, and the dollars follow them. So it comes out of the budget and it goes over there. So it's everything administratively and financially is accounted for. Okay, are there any questions with regard to the motion? And there being none, all in favor of approving the 3rd student as part of the Journeys East approval of the 3rd student as part of the Journeys East program, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion is unanimous.
I do want to inform the board that Jim Kane and I have had discussions, and we're going to bring it to the board in a future meeting, that since our Freeman Foundation grant has been reduced, and we have supported this program, it's a great program. I was principal there when it started. But we're feeling that the $20,000 that we're supporting another district should actually stay in our district because our funding has been reduced. This was a commitment that we've made for about 3 years now, and I know we made this commitment for this coming year, but I think in the future we'll be making a recommendation to support our own programs that are essentially, I wouldn't say underfunded, but we're getting less funding down the road. So the thinking is that that $20,000 in tuition would be better served for the students of our, in this.
So we'll see that as part of the next budget.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Next item on the agenda, summer hours, or I should say summer schedule. So I'm going to put in the minutes that tentative next board meeting will be on Monday, June 20th, subject to request. So in other words, if there's no request to hold the meeting on the 20th, then the next meeting will be July the 11th. Because July 4th is Monday and it's the holiday.
Subject to request.
Subject to request. In other words, someone needs to request it. Ruth?
So is July 11th still scheduled to be our retreat?
Yes,
Okay.
What's the date? July 11th?
July 11th.
So,
And so what we'll do is leave the meeting on for the 18th as well, which would be the week after. So if we really have a lot of formal business, which we generally don't, we'll leave that meeting on for the 18th.
The meeting time on the 11th will be earlier, did we decide?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't decide, but I'd certainly be open to it, that we meet someplace. What's the earliest that people can meet? I'd say, for me, it could be as early as 5 o'clock. But if I said that, would everybody be able to show up at 5 o'clock?
Okay.
Absolutely.
I believe so.
5
Should be
o'clock it
able to-
is.
Knowing ahead, should be
So
able
is
to.
this like a retreat?
Yes. So details will be provided. We have money in the budget for it. We'll decide what we're gonna do and where we're gonna go, and it'll be essentially dinner will be provided, and we can sit around and chat and sort of talk about, talk about policy planning and things of that nature for the upcoming year, about what we wanna do, where we're gonna go. Okay? So I'll prepare agenda. If any board member has something that they wish to discuss at that meeting, whether it's enlightenment or whether it's something that's bothering them, whatever, can you send me a note on email, please? And I'll incorporate it, and so we'll collect it all and create an agenda from that. We agree?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay. Next item on the agenda. Authorization for the TCC is, who's had a TCC?
Me.
Would you make the motion?
Sure. I'd like to move that the TCC be authorized to make hiring decisions during the summer months.
Second.
We'll give it to Russ.
Sure, we'll give it to Russ.
Yeah, since his computer
On
just.
most things.
Any discussion on that? Is standard normal procedure, is there any board members, particularly the new board members, who want clarification on what that means? Good.
David, just
You're an old board member.
I am old, and I am a board member.
I didn't
You
say
got
that.
that right.
I didn't say that.
Just wondering regarding the Career Center, now that we have a Career Center committee, there may be some hiring decisions, and I guess we probably wouldn't have a challenge with it being done by TCC as long as things can move at a...
So I have no problem, since
or
there is a
what-
committee, why don't you just make the motion that the...
Okay, I'll do that
when you-
after
when
the
we
other
come
ones are
back to
done
the other
then.
ones.
I just didn't know if we wanted to roll that into this one.
Sure. No, let's do it separately so it's
Yeah.
officially handled. So we have the motion to have TCC make hiring decisions during the summer months. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion's unanimous. Finance Committee, I'll move that we authorize the Finance Committee to approve warrants during the summer months.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? None, the motion is unanimous. BAMS Committee,
I'd like to move that the BAMS committee be authorized to conduct financial and personnel matters during the summer months.
okay, moved,
Second?
seconded by Russ. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor of approving the authorization for BAMS to conduct financial and personnel matters during the summer months, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion is unanimous. Bob?
I would make the motion that the WRCC committee be authorized to make hiring decisions at the Career Center during the summer months.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? How many people are on BAMS?
Or on
Three.
WRCC,
Excuse
there
me,
should be three of
WRCC.
us. All right, did we get a third?
You have three? You have enough to have a quorum?
You joined us, right?
I did.
Mary Ann's on it?
Mary
You're all
Ann's
set.
there.
Just have to ask that
Great.
question because if there's only two, technically you can't. Yep, three. So, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion's unanimous. Okay. Let's get into the real meat and potatoes here. Capital lease. It's on your, I think everybody should have received this too. Did everyone get a copy of the capital lease? Okay, it's before Finance Committee. Let me see if I can give an explanation to this. We have the ability to borrow funds in anticipation of tax receipts to, in essence, enter into a borrowing arrangement by lease. The lease structure is identical to borrowing money and securitizing it, except that during the period of the lease, legally we don't own the object, it's titled to whoever's giving us the lease. Do you see the difference? Okay. So what we have historically done is we have, when the renovation project was going on, we would borrow money, and there's a budget cap on how much money we can lease that was placed in as policy, and it's 450?
Seven.
So it's
I thought we have it for 3 years in the 700 range.
Is it?
Yeah.
Do you remember what it is?
Yeah, it's right there. 700.
No, that's this lease, but what's our total lease limit? We have a lease, the finance committee, with approval of the board, set up a lease cap limit, that there was the maximum amount that we could do on leases. And I don't think it's.
I thought it was 200,000.
I think it's, yeah, something like
2 or 250.
250, yeah.
250.
in any one year.
Yeah.
So we can acquire things, assets, under the lease arrangement up to a dollar amount of $250,000 a year. Essentially, it is a financing that we're putting out over time, and it will be paid just like an installment loan. At the end of it, we will have a zero balance, and the title to the property will then transfer to us. So the finance committee with the it has been recommended to the finance committee that we can undertake a capital lease for a 3-year period for $200,000. The first payment is already included in fiscal 2011's budget. It's in the amount of $70,655. That amount is also included in the 2012 fiscal budget. So we've already got more than half of this amount budgeted and approved by the taxpayers. And so what is the lease for? The lease is for multiple pieces of equipment and things that we wish to finance: computers, LCD screens, laptops. There's actually some musical instruments in this, projectors, etc. And what we've done is a standard procedure is we put this out for bid, and we go out to several leasing companies who bid on this, and we accept the low bid based on our terms and conditions. There were 2 bids that were received, and the low bid was at an interest rate of 3.71% from Municipal Leasing Consultants. So I'm going to move that we approve the capital lease number 3 and award that lease to Capital Leasing Consultants at a rate of 3.71%, a total expense of $144,261.93.
Second.
Moved in second. Did I confuse anyone with all this? Gee. Okay. We lost Russ. Then is there any further discussion on this? There being none, all in favor of approving capital lease number 3 under the terms and conditions presented, please signify by, what's that?
Russ is walking back.
Oh, okay. Russ, to be fair, did you have any questions, or did you understand all the?
I did. Okay, sorry.
No problem. So we're ready to vote. Do you want us to re-clarify it, or are you all set?
Actually, if you could re-clarify.
Okay, so the motion is to approve capital lease number 3 and award that lease to Municipal Leasing Consultants at an interest rate of 3.71% for a total expense of $144,261.93. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion's unanimous. So that's 1 down. Now what we do is I think it's statute, we have to put out the audit to competitive bid. And the audit went out to 2 firms, and this is for a 3-year contract. So the current auditor is P-Check and Company, and the recommendation from the business manager is to continue with P-Check. Just so everybody's aware of what the cost of an audit is, it's approximately $24,000 in year 1, $24,640 in year 2, $25,600 in year 3. There is a condition in the audit, quote from P-Check, that I need to make the board aware of, that if we do not prepare our own financials, In other words, that the system doesn't produce a complete set of financial records for them, and that P-Check has to look at our database to get that information, the quote would go up by $3,500. Okay? So the motion will be then that we approve P-Check and Company as the auditors for fiscal year 11, 12, and 13 for a total cost not to exceed $77,740, which includes the condition that we do not have the financials prepared in the time frame. And if we do, the quote will be less than that. So it's not to exceed, right?
Okay.
Is there a second? Second. Everybody clear on that? Yes, Ruth?
Can we know who else bid and what their bid was?
Yes, you can. So the second bid was from AM Pesch, and I believe I'm pronouncing it right. It's P-E-I-S-C-H. And their bid was for $75,000. Now, what's the difference? Is that P-Check and Company has already done our audits. They're familiar with our books. We would be spending a huge amount of time bringing the new company up to speed and getting them into our system, etc. So the recommendation was for the small difference that we continue to use the service that we've got. And finance supports that. Okay? A lot of money. It's actually, from my experience, for an entity our size, these are very competitive quotes, because the risks to the auditors are now huge because of all of the fraud and things that have been found, that their rates and their fees and their insurance rates are through the roof. So small businesses that get audited find that their audits can cost $10,000 if they need a full audit, simply because of the risk that the auditing company now takes for failing to uncover something that they should have. Okay. Did we vote on it, or did I not? Oh, okay. So then, are we ready to vote?
Yes, sir.
Then all in favor of the motion? Please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion is unanimous. Any abstentions? All right, so let me get back into
Can I,
my computer went to sleep too.
it's not listed here, but it's the Fiber Connect issue. I
Okay?
made copies for the Finance Committee members. And anybody that was at the SU meeting last Tuesday would have heard a presentation about this that supports the concept of, I've got 5 copies, so maybe folks can share. And there's a budget associated with this. If you've read anything about the federal Fiber Connect that Sovanet is involved with down in this area, school districts have to decide whether they want to be involved with this. And again, we've had a lengthy discussion at the SU level. I would encourage the Finance Committee to spend some time on this at your next meeting in the morning, Wednesday. But essentially, it changes the cost from BUHS, which is currently about $4,800, to a net of $7,700, because we can use the federal E-rate reimbursement to offset the cost. But it creates a bandwidth that's like 10 times what you have now. And we might not be using it soon, but it's if you don't buy into this now, if you don't sign up for it now, they'll bypass us, and then it's a huge cost to try to get into it after the fact. So we're encouraging all boards to do this, and actually you can see not only the BUHS costs, but like Guilford as an example, their cost would be $2,500 compared to nothing now, but again, E-rate is going to cover most of that. You know, Putney, which pays $1,500 now, would only be going up to $1,680. So it's a good system for the future. And again, I would ask the Finance Committee just to confirm that BUHS wants to participate in that. And I'm not sure if there's any questions or discussion.
And then bring it back under consent agenda?
Yeah.
Is that all right? Okay. Because it's really just a budgeting issue.
Right, and it's not until
It's not a policy
FY13,
change.
so it's time to
Yeah.
look at this.
It's timely. I participated in a discussion where an EPSCoR meeting up in Burlington last Thursday and Friday, and this wiring of the state was a big, huge topic, and to the degree that they're saying it's essential for us to get this high-speed wire in to attract businesses to Vermont. And wiring us and the other schools is part of that program, and part of what we're doing here is riding along with this increase in bandwidth throughout the whole state. So it's good for us.
Ron, how did the SU approve it? How many other boards approved it?
I think in concept they all did, but we're taking it to each board, so.
We're okay time-wise? Is that
Well, there's a June 1st, we had to sign up for an extension, which we did. And then, they want to get some sort of affirmation pretty soon. So within a month, I'd say.
Because our next meeting may be July 11th.
Okay. Ingrid, candidates for hire.
I'm going to defer to Steve first.
Okay.
Become clear. I actually have two recommendations to make, both for assistant principal positions.
Okay.
And the first one is a interim appointment for next year. The person that I'm recommending to the board is a gentleman named Andrew Haas, who would begin on July 1st, 2011. He'd be interim to take my current position, to take my position as assistant principal. Andy got his bachelor's degree in special ed degrees at California State University, educational leadership degree from Riviera College in New Hampshire in 2001. He's had, currently since 2008, he's been the principal and director at GALT, which is the Gardner Academy for Learning and Technology, which is Gardner School District's alternative program. Prior to that, he was a principal at Gardner High School, has been an assistant principal in Conval, Conant, and a headmaster at a large school in Nashua. We interviewed 62 people for this position, interviewed 7. You can see that people that were on the committee were Tessa Anders from the Social Studies Department, joined us, Nancy Johnston, Jim Malin is department head, Mary McLaughlin is our special ed director, Dr. Staley, and myself. So I would ask that the board appoint Andrew Haas.
Is there a motion, please, to do so?
I move that Andrew Haas be appointed as interim assistant principal beginning July 1st, 2011.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Steve, one question: would the salary and other components of the offer be consistent with the current budget, and are they within the budget parameters?
Yes. My other recommendation is.
Well, we should approve this and then
Sorry.
we'll go to the
I
next.
thought I should.
Any questions from any other board member? All right, all in favor of approving Mr. Haas as interim assistant principal, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Mr. Perrin.
My second recommendation is the appointment of Christopher Day as assistant principal at BUHS. Chris is well known in the area as a teacher at BAMS. He got his Bachelor of Arts degree from UVM in 1993 and his Master's of Education from Keene State in 2008. He did his internship with Ingrid and has been employed at BUHS since the year 2000 as a social studies teacher and special educator. He is extremely excited for this opportunity, and knowing Chris as a new administrator, I'm pretty enthusiastic about the potential he presents for us. Again, same committee, same number of people applied, and as with Andrew, his appointment would be within our current budget constraints.
Okay, is there a motion, please?
I move that the appointment of Christopher Day as assistant principal beginning July 1st, 2011.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Bob Woodward. Any discussion? My only question is one of performance and evaluation. These position subject then moving over into this position, would there be a different evaluation stream, and how would that occur?
Yeah, the principal would be the primary supervisor of these two positions.
Okay. Okay.
And then the Dean of Students position is, we're still in the search process.
Okay. Any questions or anything with regard to Christopher Day's appointment as assistant principal? Then all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? It's unanimous. Please tell both candidates that it was a unanimous decision as well from the board. Ms. Kriska.
So as a result of this, I had a social studies teacher to replace, and I had another social studies teacher.
now I understand. I'm slow, but I'm steady.
And then I had another social studies teacher to replace. So we've been in a search process for, it feels like months, but it's been about 5 weeks. We had over 100 applicants for initially one position and then two. Through that screening process, we identified 11 to interview, which we did do. We brought 4 in to teach. Originally, we had our sights set on 2 relatively new teachers, one a recent graduate from St. Michael's, the other one 3 years out with some experience. We would have been interested in offering positions to both of those people. Each declined, one for geography and one because she got a free ride to graduate school. Hard to turn that down.
Yeah.
So we went back to the drawing board, reposted, re-interviewed. The interview team consisted of Joe Rivers, Paula Starkweather, school counselor, Erica Liberdoni, math teacher on Team Canis, and Michael Lonigan, English teacher on Team Taurus. So we had both of the receiving teams represented in the process. 4 of us observed the candidates teach through this process. And so I would like to present to you 2 candidates for our social studies positions. The first is Ann Kaplinka-Lair. It's a hyphenated long name. Ann did her internship at BAMS in the 09-10 school year, full year internship with Joe Rivers. She has an undergraduate degree from Beloit in African Studies and 2 graduate degrees, one from SIT and one from Marlborough College Graduate School. So she did spend a full year with us as an intern, and then she actually was our long-term sub this school year, August through January, when Chris Day was deployed in Afghanistan. And so she's well known to us as a teacher, and I'm very excited to have him join us now for this position. And then the second candidate, his name is Joe Powers. He comes to us as a very recent transplant from Alaska, having spent 20 years teaching social studies, Spanish, and special education in Alaska. He has undergraduate and graduate degrees from UConn, undergraduate in history and graduate degree in education. And I actually called Alaska and spoke to 3 references there. With a 4-hour time difference, I had to be very careful when I was making my calls. But because I lived and worked in Alaska for a couple of years, I felt like
You figured it out.
You remember?
it was very comforting talking with them. And they couldn't say enough good things about Joe Powers. He was amazing, Julie, when he came in and taught for us. So those are our 2 candidates. Joe Rivers is the remaining member of our social studies department because as I've presented to the BAMS committee, one of our teams will become a 3-person team next year. There will not be a distinctly different social studies teacher. Julianne Egan will teach a humanities program, blending and merging English and social studies on that team. So we have Joe and then 2 new hires coming on board, and not totally new to us.
So you need a motion?
I would,
Go ahead.
I would move the appointment of Ann Kaplinkin-Lair and Joe Powers as social studies teachers in BAMS for the incoming school year.
Let's do each one.
Separately. Okay. Go ahead and say your last name again. Thanks. All right. So I would like to move that we approve Ann Kaplinkin-Lair as a social studies teacher for BAM for the incoming school year.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded by Mary Ann. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Forgive them.
And then I would like to move that we approve the hiring of Joe Powers as a social studies teacher for BAMS for the incoming school year.
I'll second it.
Executive session. Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion is unanimous. I think we finished up the regular agenda for the evening.
One more.
Oh, David, that's right. I'm sorry, you did have one. I apologize. I'm sorry, David, I did forget.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
I think you can tell that the three schools have certainly been in a hiring position this last few months. And we've been no different. As you know, that Mr. McDonald went on to New Jersey to work for the Department of Education there. We've been looking for an assistant director since late April. We had 13 total candidates for our job, mostly through School Spring. They were, most of them, very reasonably qualified. Through the process, we narrowed that down to, I think it was 5 candidates. We had an initial meeting with the Career Center Hiring Committee, which was basically the WRCC committee, Dr. Staley, and some staff members. We immediately narrowed that field down to 4, brought those 4 people in for a pretty good interview session. And then I invited 3 of these candidates back for a long-term tour of the building to meet with staff and students, and then conferred with staff and students as to what they thought about these candidates. And I'm very pleased to announce that Michael Burnett of Troy, New York, has received not only my approval, but the approval of the staff, and I believe Mr. Staley. And I would like to recommend that we appoint Mr. Michael Burnett as the Assistant Director of the Career Center, starting on around July 1st.
Okay, is there a motion, please?
I would move that we appoint Michael Burnett as, I'm sorry, somebody had their hand up and I just started talking.
I'll second whatever you say.
Okay. I move that we appoint Michael Burnett as the Assistant Director at the Career Center.
Okay.
Second.
Discussion. One thing that I was wondering on all the candidates is they have out-of-state licenses. How hard is it to get the Vermont license in time for the school year?
They'll be certified.
This won't be an
I
issue.
don't know the process,
Yeah.
but I'm just asking.
If they do it through our office, and, you know.
If reciprocity and
if it's not reciprocal, there'll be a provisional, and it will be in place, at least by provisional, which is fine by statute.
Got it. Okay. Just asking the question.
Shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions? You agree, Ruth?
What?
Yes, she does.
You were on the committee, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Then all in favor of the motion to approve Michael Burnett to the Career Center, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I
Any
just,
abstention? The motion is unanimous.
I'd just add that, you know, although we're sorry to see some really great people leave,
Yeah.
this is really exciting because, you know, we've got some really quality people added to the administrative leadership team, so I think we're going to be in really good shape.
Yeah, and it's exciting, I think, although tiring for us to go through this process,
yeah.
and it adds new blood to our system. So it's been
Right.
it's been very engaging. Let's put it that way.
Change is good. So that finishes the regular agenda for the evening, and the board will go into executive session. I'll make a motion to go into executive session to discuss a staff matter.
Yep.
Is
I'll
there-
second that.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
So we're going to
Go to the inner conference room.